when Ethan, a hardworking single dad and mechanic, stops to help a stranded CEO on a dark, rainy highway. He has no idea that this mysterious woman in the broken-down luxury car is Isabella, the girl who shattered his heart 15 years ago and disappeared without a trace. As their eyes meet, the shocking truth unravels. Her father threatened to destroy Ethan's life, forcing her to vanish. Now she's back, powerful and wealthy, but will Ethan forgive her? And what happens when her dangerous father discovers they've reunited? Stay until the very end, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Before we continue, let us know where in the world you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. If you love emotional stories with incredible plot twists, smash that like button and subscribe right now. The rain hammered down like bullets from the sky. Lightning split the darkness, illuminating the empty highway for brief, terrifying moments. It was nearly midnight, and Ethan gripped the steering wheel of his beat-up pickup truck, exhausted from a 12-hour shift at the garage. His beige polo shirt was stained with grease and sweat. All he could think about was getting home to his 4-year-old son Ryan, who was waiting with the babysitter. But then he saw it. A sleek black luxury car sat abandoned on the shoulder of the road, its hazard lights blinking desperately through the sheets of rain. Steam was rising from under the hood. Ethan's instincts as a mechanic kicked in immediately, but something else made him slow down. Something he couldn't explain. A strange feeling in his gut. He pulled over, grabbed his flashlight from the glove compartment, and stepped out into the storm. Within seconds, he was drenched. The wind whipped around him as he approached the expensive vehicle. Through the rain-streaked windows, he could make out a figure in the driver's seat. As he got closer, his heart nearly stopped. The woman inside had long, flowing blonde hair that cascaded over her shoulders like liquid gold. She wore a red, deep-necked dress shirt that seemed completely out of place on this deserted highway, paired with blue jeans shorts. Her hands gripped the steering wheel, and even through the rain and darkness, Ethan could see the fear and frustration on her face. She noticed him approaching and quickly rolled down her window just a crack, clearly nervous about a stranger in the middle of nowhere. "I don't want any trouble," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "Ma'am, I'm a mechanic. I saw your car and thought you might need help," Ethan said, trying to sound as non-threatening as possible. "It's not safe out here alone." The woman hesitated, studying his face in the intermittent lightning flashes. Then something flickered in her eyes, something strange. Recognition, confusion, fear. Ethan couldn't tell. "The car just died," she finally said. "I don't know what happened. One minute I was driving, the next everything just stopped working." "Mind if I take a look?" Ethan asked. She nodded slowly and popped the hood. Ethan walked around to the front of the car, opened the hood, and shone his flashlight on the engine. The rain was relentless, but he'd worked in worse conditions. As he examined the battery terminals and checked the alternator, he noticed the woman had stepped out of the car. That's when the lightning flashed again and Ethan got his first real look at her face. His flashlight nearly slipped from his hand. No, it couldn't be. His mind raced back 15 years. College. The library, a beautiful girl with blonde hair asking him about an engineering textbook. Coffee dates. Late-night study sessions that turned into something more, falling in love for the first time. Making plans for the future. And then one day she was just gone, vanished. No goodbye, no explanation, no trace. Isabella Cooper, the woman who destroyed him. "The terminals are loose and your alternator is struggling," Ethan heard himself say, somehow managing to keep his voice steady even as his entire world tilted on its axis. "I can tighten these up and get you running enough to make it to a service station or hotel." "Thank you so much," the woman said. "I'm Isabella, by the way." Isabella Cooper. Ethan's hands froze on the wrench. She didn't recognize him. 15 years. He'd thought about her nearly every single day for 15 years. She'd haunted his dreams, his thoughts, his every relationship after her, and she didn't even recognize him. "Ethan," he managed to say. "Ethan Miller." He watched her face carefully, still nothing. No recognition, no shock, no guilt. The rain poured harder. "Well, Ethan Miller, you're a lifesaver," Isabella said, pulling her jacket tighter around herself. "I have a huge meeting tomorrow morning in the city. If I'd been stuck out here all night." Ethan worked in silence, his mind spinning. How was this possible? How could she not remember him? Or was she pretending? Was this some kind of game? As he worked, Isabella made small talk. She mentioned she was the CEO of Cooper Industries, had just flown in from New York, and was on her way to a luxury hotel downtown. Every word she spoke felt like a knife twisting in Ethan's chest. "All right," Ethan said finally, slamming the hood shut harder than necessary. "Try starting it now." Isabella got back in the car and turned the key. The engine roared to life. She let out a sigh of relief and rolled down her window again. "You're amazing. Thank you so much. How much do I owe you?" "Nothing," Ethan said coldly. "No, please, I insist." "Here, take my card." Isabella pulled out a sleek business card and held it out to him. "If you ever need anything, call me. Seriously, you saved me tonight." Ethan stared at the card in her hand. The rain had slowed to a drizzle now, and in the dim light from her car's interior, he could see her face clearly. She still had the same eyes, the same smile, the same beauty that had captivated him all those years ago. "Don't you remember me?" The words escaped before he could stop them. Isabella tilted her head, confused. "I'm sorry. 15 years ago. State University, engineering and business building, the library on the third floor where you asked me about thermodynamics." He watched as the color slowly drained from her face. Her hand, still holding the business card, began to tremble. "Ethan," she whispered, her eyes going wide. "Oh my God, Ethan Miller, no, no, this can't be." "It's me," Ethan said bitterly. "Surprised you finally remember." Isabella's hands flew to her mouth. Tears immediately filled her eyes and began streaming down her face, mixing with the rain. "Ethan, I didn't recognize you. You look so different. Your hair, your build, Oh God, Ethan." "Yeah, people change in 15 years," Ethan said. "Especially when someone rips their heart out and disappears without a word." "Ethan, please, I can explain." Isabella started to get out of the car. "Don't." Ethan held up his hand. "I don't want to hear it. I stopped caring about explanations about 14 years ago." "Please," Isabella begged, now standing in front of him, the rain starting to pick up again. "Please, just give me 5 minutes. You deserve to know the truth." "The truth," Ethan laughed harshly, "the truth is you left. That's all the truth I need." "My father threatened to destroy you," Isabella suddenly shouted, her voice breaking. "He threatened to ruin your life, your family's life, everything. He gave me a choice: leave and never contact you again, or watch him systematically destroy everything you loved." Ethan stood frozen, Isabella's words hitting him like physical blows. "What?" he breathed. "My father found out about us," Isabella continued, crying openly now. "He said I was meant for someone of my social standing, not some engineering student from a working-class family. He said if I didn't end it, he'd make sure you never graduated, that your father would lose his job, that your little sister wouldn't get into any college. He had the power to do it, Ethan. He had connections everywhere. So you just left without telling me, without giving me a chance to fight for us." Ethan's voice was rising. "I was 19, Isabella sobbed. "I was scared and stupid, and I didn't know what to do. I thought I was protecting you. I thought if I just disappeared, he'd leave you alone and you could have a good life." "A good life?" Ethan's voice cracked. "You were my life, Isabella. When you left, you took everything with you." Thunder crashed overhead as they stood there, two people who'd once meant everything to each other. Now strangers drowning in 15 years of pain and regret. "I looked for you," Ethan said quietly. "For months I searched. I called everyone we knew. I drove to your family's estate and they turned me away at the gate. I thought maybe you'd died. Then I thought maybe I'd done something wrong. Eventually, I thought you just never loved me at all." "I loved you," Isabella whispered. "I never stopped loving you, not for a single day. When my father sent me away to Europe, I cried myself to sleep every night for a year. I tried to find you on social media, but you'd deleted everything. I wanted to reach out so many times, but I was terrified my father would follow through on his threats." "Why are you here now then?" Ethan asked. "Why come back?" "My father had a stroke 3 years ago," Isabella said. "He's alive but weak. He no longer controls the company or me. I took over as CEO, and I've spent the last 3 years building my own power, my own wealth, independent of him. I came back to this area for business, but also because I hoped maybe, somehow, I might run into someone who knew you, someone who could tell me if you were okay. If you were happy." "I'm a single father," Ethan said flatly. "I got married 4 years after you left, trying to fill the hole you left behind. It didn't work. My wife realized I was still in love with a ghost, and she left when my son was 1 year old. So no, Isabella, I'm not happy. I work 12-hour shifts to support my kid. I live in a small apartment, and I haven't been on a date in 2 years because I'm too exhausted and too broken to try. Isabella's face crumpled. I'm so sorry. God, Ethan, I'm so sorry. They stood in silence for a long moment, the rain beginning to ease off. Finally, Ethan spoke. You should go. Your meeting tomorrow morning, remember. Ethan, please, can we talk more? Can I see you again? I know I don't deserve it, but please. I don't know, Ethan said honestly. I don't know if I can do this. Seeing you again, it's like reopening a wound that never really healed. I understand, Isabella said quietly. She picked up the business card that had fallen to the ground and held it out again. But please take this. If you change your mind, if you want answers, if you want closure, anything. Please, Ethan looked at the card for a long moment, then slowly took it. Goodbye, Isabella. He turned and walked back to his truck without looking back. As he drove away, he glanced in his rearview mirror and saw Isabella standing in the rain, watching him go, her shoulders shaking with sobs. The next 3 days were torture for Ethan. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. He kept replaying that conversation over and over in his mind. At work, he was distracted and nearly dropped an engine block on his foot. At home, Ryan kept asking why Daddy seemed so sad. The business card sat on his nightstand, mocking him. On the 4th day, Ethan broke. He picked up his phone and dialed the number on the card. Isabella answered on the first ring. Ethan, coffee, he said. Tomorrow, that cafe on Maple Street, if it's still there. It's still there, Isabella said, and he could hear the hope in her voice. What time? 2 p.m. I can only do an hour. I have to pick up Ryan from daycare. I'll be there, Isabella said. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you for giving me a chance to explain everything. The next day, Ethan arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early. He'd changed his beige polo shirt 3 times before settling on a clean blue button-up. He felt ridiculous, getting dressed up to meet someone who destroyed his life, but he couldn't help it. Isabella arrived exactly at 2 p.m. She was wearing a simple white blouse and jeans this time, her long blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked nervous, vulnerable. Nothing like the powerful CEO from the highway. They ordered coffee and sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Thank you for coming, Isabella started. I need to understand, Ethan said. I need to know everything, not just about why you left, but about these past 15 years, where you've been, what you've done. Why you never tried to contact me once your father was out of the picture. For the next hour, Isabella told him everything. About being sent to London the day after she'd last seen him. About her father monitoring her every move, tracking her phone calls and emails. About the arranged engagement to a British businessman that she'd sabotaged. About finally escaping to New York when she was 25 and building her own consulting firm from nothing. About the years of therapy to deal with her father's control and her guilt over leaving Ethan. About taking over the family company only to spite her father. I searched for you, Isabella said. 3 years ago when my father had his stroke and I knew I was finally free. But Ethan Miller is a common name and you'd scrubbed yourself from social media. I hired a private investigator, but he came back with 17 different Ethan Millers in 3 states, and none of them seemed to be you. I moved, Ethan said. After the divorce, I wanted a fresh start, changed cities, changed jobs. I know this is asking too much, Isabella said, her hands wrapped around her coffee cup, but is there any chance we could try to reconnect? Not as lovers, she added quickly. Just as friends. I want to know the man you've become. I want to meet your son. I want to prove to you that I never stopped caring. Ethan sat back in his chair, studying her. The logical part of his brain was screaming at him to say no, to walk away, to protect himself. But there was another part, the part that had loved this woman with everything he had, that was whispering maybe. I need time, he said finally. This is a lot to process. And I have to think about Ryan. He's my priority now. I completely understand, Isabella said. Take all the time you need. 2 weeks passed. Ethan went through his daily routine, but Isabella was constantly on his mind. Then one night, Ryan got sick. High fever, couldn't keep anything down. Ethan rushed him to the emergency room at 2 a.m., terrified and alone. As he sat in the waiting room while they ran tests on his son, he felt the crushing weight of single parenthood. His hand found his phone. Before he could overthink it, he texted Isabella's number. "At County General ER with Ryan, he's sick." "I'm scared." The response came in less than a minute. "I'm on my way." 20 minutes later, Isabella burst through the ER doors, her long blonde hair messy, wearing sweatpants and an oversized hoodie. No makeup, no CEO polish. "How is he?" she asked, slightly breathless. "They're still running tests," Ethan said, surprised at how relieved he felt to see her. "They think it might be appendicitis." Isabella sat down next to him and without asking took his hand. "He's going to be okay." They sat like that for 3 hours. Isabella got them coffee, made sure Ethan ate something from the vending machine, and distracted him with stories. When the doctor finally came out and said Ryan needed surgery but would be fine, Ethan actually broke down and cried. Isabella held him. After the surgery, when Ryan was sleeping peacefully in his hospital bed, Ethan turned to Isabella. "Why did you come?" he asked quietly. "Because you needed someone," Isabella said simply. "And because I care about you, I always have." "I'm still angry at you," Ethan said. "I know," Isabella said, "and you have every right to be." "But I'm tired of being angry," Ethan continued. "I'm tired of holding on to pain. And tonight, when I needed someone, you showed up. I'd like to try, slowly, carefully. I'd like to see if we can build something new." Over the next few months, Isabella became part of their lives. She visited Ryan during his recovery, bringing toys and books. She met Ethan for coffee every week. She was patient when Ethan had bad days. She never pushed, never demanded more than he was ready to give. Ryan loved her immediately. 6 months after their reunion, things seemed perfect. But then Mr. Cooper found out. He showed up at Ethan's garage, flanked by lawyers and security. "You," he snarled at Ethan. "I should have destroyed you 15 years ago." "Mr. Cooper," Ethan said calmly, "your daughter is a grown woman. She makes her own choices. My daughter is a billionaire CEO. She doesn't belong with a grease monkey mechanic. I will not allow you to ruin her life." "You mean you won't allow her to be happy?" Ethan shot back. "I'm giving you one chance," Mr. Cooper said. "Walk away from Isabella, or I will make you regret it. I still have power. I can make sure your garage loses its lease. I can make sure Ryan's daycare has no spots. I can make your life a living hell." Before Ethan could respond, he heard Isabella's voice. "No, you won't." Isabella strode into the garage in a business suit, carrying a briefcase. This was CEO Isabella, and she was terrifying. "Because if you do," Isabella continued, "I will use every resource to destroy you. I will go to the press with evidence of your affair. I will expose the financial fraud you committed in the 1995 merger. I will make sure everyone knows what a manipulative, controlling monster you really are." Mr. Cooper's face went pale. "You wouldn't dare. Try me," Isabella said. "I've spent 3 years gathering evidence against you. I know everything, every dirty secret, every illegal deal. I'm your father, mister." Cooper said weakly. "You stopped being my father the day you chose your pride over my happiness," Isabella said coldly. "You have no power over me anymore. And you certainly have no power over the man I love." Mr. Cooper stared at his daughter, then turned and walked out without another word. After they left, Ethan pulled Isabella into his arms. "That was incredible." "I meant every word," Isabella said. "I won't let him hurt you, never again." 3 months later, Ethan and Isabella got married at the courthouse. Simple ceremony, just close friends. Ryan was the ring bearer. When the judge pronounced them married, Ryan cheered loudly. 2 years later, Ethan's automotive repair shop had expanded to 3 locations. Isabella had helped him get started, but the success was his own hard work. Ryan was thriving in school and had a little sister now, Emma, who had inherited Isabella's blonde hair. One evening, they stood in their backyard, watching Ryan push Emma on a swing. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we'd never met again?" Isabella asked. "Sometimes," Ethan admitted. "But then I remember that some things are just meant to be. It means we don't give up on love," Isabella said, "even when it seems impossible." Ryan called out, "Dad, Mom." "Watch this." Both parents rushed over as he landed in the grass, laughing. A family that almost never was. A love story that refused to die. A second chance that became forever.